introduce Celia really quick. She's a health optimization coach and expert. She's an amazing partner at Joy Women's Wellness, and we're just so excited to have her here to talk about how to optimize your body composition in perimenopause, a hot topic right now. So, Celia, I will let you take this away.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, just a couple slides, guys, just to go through some metrics. And then I am literally pulling up all of my personal DEXA scan results. So I'm getting real personal with you guys. Riley, just let me make sure that I show you guys the right screen,
You're good. Looks fantastic.
right? Okay, so let's start talking about body composition. So I think a lot of people think of body composition and they think of aesthetics. They think, okay, like I want to lose a little belly fat, I want to get in shape. It's about how you look and feel. And that's part of it. But a big part of it are the things that you can't see from just looking at the weight on the scale. So for all intents and purposes, this is me, okay? So I'm a healthy female. At the time of this DEXA scan, I was 50. I'm Chinese. I work out 3 days a week. Perimenopausal, not a lot of symptoms, not an HRT yet, kind of like all of my clients and students, right? So I was like, okay, let's do a DEXA scan and let's see what I'm actually made of. So the weight on the scale is super opaque, right? So you saw that 127 pounds, and I was like, okay, I'm 127 pounds. I still fit into my jeans. No big deal. I'm healthy, right? But what this is it's a scan that shows what that weight is made of. So I'm going to show you guys some highlights of my first DEXA scan, which, by the way, I thought I was going to kill it. And, and skinny fat. Okay. So I get a DEXA scan and I look at this, and now I can look at this 127 pounds and I actually know what it is made of. 44 pounds is fat, 78 pounds is lean mass, which is muscle and organs, basically anything that's not fat. And about 4 pounds is bone. But the real number that made me spiral was this 34.7% body fat, which is trending on the higher side. And I thought I was doing everything right. I mean, I'm literally a health optimization coach. I know in theory all the things about macronutrients and building muscle and all the things. But the truth is that it's a bit of a wake-up call for all women, I think, probably, maybe mid-30s and on, that some of the things that we've been doing just no longer work as well. And our biology is a big part of that and what's going on with our hormones. And I think that's why all of you on this call are kind of like, okay, let's really unpack this because if I'm going to put in the effort, I want something to work. So I called the company and I said, can you please take me through this report? I don't really understand. And they answered with this dreaded response, okay, for any like type A, biohacker. And she said to me, you are tracking with the average in your age group. And I was like, what are you talking about average? Like I'm a competitive biohacker. So I looked at this kind of like a fun challenge because I know that there's a lot of levers that we can pull to kind of change our body composition. And what I learned was that being Chinese, actually, being of Asian descent, means that I tend to have lower muscle. So for any of you on this call that are Asian, genetically, we have a little bit of lower muscle and we are losing muscle as we get older. So as we go into perimenopause, we're starting to lose muscle, we're starting to lose bone, and that accelerates at menopause. This is why we're having a conversation. This is why I think this is such an important dialogue for us to have now. So we need to get away from the narrative that skinny is healthy, and if you're a little overweight, you're unhealthy. The sad reality right now is that we can be metabolically unhealthy at any size. And I think this statistic is a little sobering. It's like 97% of us have some metabolic dysfunction. Okay. But I'm going to show you kind of how to turn it around. But I'm going to take you on a little journey of what I did and some things that worked and some things that did not. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do what I normally do and I'm going to improve. And I realized that what worked for me at 30 does not work for me at 50. So I swapped out one day of Pilates and I did weights. That wasn't enough. I managed to gain only half a pound of muscle in almost 3 months. Not without effort, but that wasn't really the result I was looking for, right? And I want to take you through some of these metabolic metrics, okay? So here my weight didn't really change. This distribution of the weight didn't really change. My body fat changed zip zero, nothing, okay? So even though I added a day of weights, 1 day of weights with probably some lighter weights, my body fat did not change. My visceral fat, now for those of you who don't know what visceral fat is, that's something that you can find out when you get a DEXA scan. And this is very important to body composition. It's not just the fat that you can pinch, right? This is the fat that's hidden all around your organs. This is a really inflammatory fat. This is the fat that leads to chronic disease. This will tell you if you're metabolically healthy or not. So we want that number to be as close to zero as possible. Now, I'm in my fifth decade. There's no way it's going to be zero, right? But we want to get it as low as we can. And this took a little bit of a jump up. So I'm going in the wrong direction. Everything else kind of flatlined. So again, this is putting in, average effort, things that I used to do no longer working. Now, if you guys have any questions, though, as I go, because I'm going to fly through these metrics just to give you an idea of how we use DEXA scans to optimize body composition, and then we're going to get into more of a dialogue and a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Riley can either interrupt me if it's really timely, or we can take care of it afterwards. Okay. I'm going to try something else, right? So I'm going to do the thing that all women are told to do. Eat less, work out more, do a lot of cardio. Okay. So if I had just been looking at the scale, do you see where my little arrow is? I lost almost 2 pounds. Yay, on the scale, right? I should be happy. But I took a deeper look because I did a DEXA scan, and this is a major fail. Why? I lost 2 pounds, but 6 pounds were muscle. I gained 4 pounds of fat. Okay. My bone mass even just dropped a little bit. So this goes from 34 to 38%. I'm literally going in the opposite direction. Okay. My body fat percentage, I want to get that percentage lower. I want to be leaner and more sculpted and stronger. And this is showing that my resting metabolic rate, right? These are the calories that Celia burns just by staying on, right? Just keeping me going. My body at rest is decreasing. I'm becoming less metabolically efficient. So everything is slowing down. I am literally going in the opposite direction. So I am using the tactic that is marketed to all of us. And even sometimes our doctors will say, oh, you want to lose a little bit of weight? Oh, just eat less and move your body more. We are all here because we want to be efficient. This is not about a lack of willpower. This is not about a lack of effort. You guys, this is a lack of strategy. And sometimes this is a lack of support. So I'm going to show you that even me playing around with all of the very common tactics to this complex problem, why they fail, and then what works. So let's get to what is actually working. Okay. So this is a great result. And let me tell you why. Again, if I only looked at the scale, you're going to see that I jumped up from 125.9 to 128.7. So I gained almost 3 pounds. Again, weight on the scale, super opaque, doesn't tell the story, very misleading. That is good weight. Why? Because I gained 9 pounds of muscle and I lost 6 pounds of fat. It is actually the reverse of the last scan, what the last scan showed. And I want to take a second to explain the difference between fat and muscle, right? Fat is squishy. It's like more of like a marshmallow. It's less defined. It takes up more space and it stores energy. Muscle is like a twisted rope, right? It's fibrous, it's dense. You can sculpt it. It looks good on the body, right? It actually burns energy, right? It burns calories. So when you have and it takes up less space. That's why I can be almost 3 pounds heavier, but I was actually smaller, right? I was also on vacation during this time. So, what are the things that I did? What are all the things that I did to get this really great result? I didn't diet. I was traveling. So, when I was in LA, I was working out, dedicated strength training, right? I added some weighted Pilates, but I really started to shift more towards focusing on building muscle, right? 3 times a week. And I was walking. I was on vacation at a wedding, dad's birthday in Lisbon, walking, 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 walking in the sunshine, eating real food, happy, dancing with friends, summer, right? This is the season. So what I'm showing you here is a dramatic improvement in body composition, but I was not grinding it out. Okay. I was intentional about trying to exercise, but it was really inconsistent because I was traveling a lot. But I was moving my body. I was not stressed out and I was not sitting at a computer, right? The way that we live today does not support our biology. And it certainly does not help when we have to do things a little bit more drastically during perimenopause. So this is showing a great recomposition of my body here, but my metabolism, right? And I'm always interested in both like the short-term wins and then the long-term gains. I am a healthier body here, not just because of the muscle that I put on that's going to help me from falling, that's going to help me from being frail when I'm in my 60s and 70s and 80s, right? Like we don't think there's going to be a day where we won't be able to like pick up our, groceries and walk up the stairs. But if we're losing a lot of muscle, we will be challenged doing everyday things. So this addition of muscle is not just making me feel stronger, right? Like my carry-on is 40 pounds. I don't know how you guys pack, but my carry-on, I can lift that very easily and put it in the overhead compartment. And I look around in a plane, and a lot of people, a lot of women cannot. And so I have different goals about how I want to, have longevity. So again, when we talk about body composition, we're not just talking about aesthetics. I am much more metabolically fit here. You can see my resting metabolic rate, right? The calories I burn at rest, right? My metabolic engine, because I have so much more muscle that requires so much more energy, and I'm eating so much more protein that takes so much more energy to break down. You can see that I can eat the same amount, but actually I'm going to burn more just doing nothing, right? I'm also gaining some muscle in my arms and legs, which is going to keep me from falling. It's going to give me the power I need. So this is a really great result. And okay, so then I'm not on vacation anymore. I call up Riley and I'm like, okay, guys, I need to partner with Joy because I want to take this to the next level. This is not just about seasons where we have a good season and then we slack off for the winter and then we kind of like go backwards. I really wanted to invest in sustainable wins. And that's really what I work with all of my coaching clients on and all my students. How can you incorporate these things into your life? So let's look at what happened in the next little sprint. So this was a 8-week sprint where I thought I'm going to write about this in my Substack once a week and I'm going to track my progress and I'm going to share all of my learnings. So this was like weekly text to Riley to be like, why did I sign up for this? I have to keep going. But the accountability and the support that I got from Joy was great. So let me tell you what I did here. What you're seeing is really an October to December sprint, right? I gained another 5 pounds. So you're thinking, okay, she wants to change her body composition, but now she keeps gaining weight. What's up? But remember, muscle takes up less space than fat does. So my pants are looser. I'm tighter. I have muscle definition, right? Like I have a joke with my trainer, hashtag abs by summer, right? Like I'm actually like, I can see definition and I feel really good. I have a lot of energy, right? This is from all of the metabolically active tissue I put on, which is muscle. So you can see that my weight I'm gaining muscle. I gained back a little bit of fat. That's fine. Bone mass went up, which is great because I'm doing a lot of jumping and resistance training. So you want to keep your bones healthy and strong. My body fat percentage is eking down. Still going to be working on this. This is all last year. My visceral fat is going down, which is great. It's like taking a step away from chronic disease when your visceral fat improves. And you can see a nice little jump in my resting metabolic rate. So again, I'm starting to burn a lot of calories just by doing nothing. And I'm still adding muscle to my arms and my legs. And it's going to keep me really balanced and it's going to keep me from having an injury or falling. So this is the result of bringing in people to support me. So I had a trainer. I was working on heavy progressive weights, right? I was eating really well. I was really looking at the protein, really making sure that I was fueling my body for this. And women, we also need carbs. So we can get into that with Dr. Melissa in a second. And then because I'm a biohacker and I love any kind of advantage I can get, I added a Somorelin peptide, which I did with Joy. So we can dig into how peptides can really help with recovery, with muscle development, and also with sleep and recovery. It was a really busy time for work. I was traveling a ton and I was building a company. So I really prioritized sleep and recovery. A lot of the times we think all of our gains are at the gym, but it's actually when we're sleeping. That's when we're actually building and repairing. So, you know, think about a pound of muscle and a pound of fat. They weigh the same, but muscle is about 18% like smaller. It's like denser. So you're going to be smaller and more compact the more muscle you have. This result is less dramatic, but I really was able to change my behavior in 8 weeks. Like I learned to love to lift. I am now a person who goes to the gym, right? I really have been able to kind of maintain this. And one of the things that Riley convinced me to do was, okay, let's see what your biological age is. So I did another comprehensive blood work panel with Joy, and 84% of my biomarkers are optimized. A lot of the work I did with body composition showed up in my blood work. And my biological age, which is hilarious, I think I made you guys double check this, is like 22 years younger than my chronological age, which I think is hilarious. I should put that on my Hinge profile. Um, so I know I just threw a lot of metrics at you guys, but I just wanted to show you guys how misleading the weight on the scale is. It's really just about all the other metrics that we can use using a DEXA scan and pulling all of the levers that we know to utilize. So you're talking about nutrition, you're talking about movement, and it's at the gym, but it's also just like moving your body, right? Sleep, stress, happiness, relationships, peptides, hormonal balance, like all of those things are a big part of how you can put together your plan, your strategy, and everyone is different. So these were my results, and you can see how different they are based on what I'm doing. So the good news is that we sometimes think, oh, that's just our genetics. That's just my body type, right? I'm just, this is just what it's going to be like to age. And I'm like, hell no, you guys, we are not going down without a fight, right? But we have to change the way that we approach our health because it's like we've unlocked a new level, right? Like you're playing a video game and you're playing the same game and you max out and you're like, I'm winning, I'm winning. And then all of a sudden you're like, no, you've upgraded to this whole new operating system. And now you have to play this amazing game for the last chapter of your life. But surprise, all the rules have changed. So you have to like relearn how to use all the tools in your toolkit to be able to put together a strategy to get you to the goals that you want. So I've had a lot of fun doing this too because our health is it's dynamic. You can see I just showed you guys 5 DEXA scans. Thank you for bearing with me. 5 DEXA scans, lots of numbers, right? But that is really me like fixing what I can measure and looking and seeing, oh, my efforts are making a difference. Or, no, abort mission. This is actually the opposite of what I should be doing because it's not working with my biology and it's not getting me the results I want. And every single one of you on this call right now is curious and intentional and is willing to put in the work, but we are not willing to put in work with no results, right? So I want everyone to like ask questions. We have Dr. Melissa on as well, who can really field some of the questions around hormones and how they change our body composition. And I'm here as your health optimization coach to answer all of the questions around, all the lifestyle levers that we can utilize to get you the results you want.
Yeah, we hit a bunch in the chat. Do you want me to start asking them out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, great. This will be for you, Celia. Where do I go to get a DEXA scan? Who do I ask for one? What about the home scales that show some of these components?
Okay. Very, very good question. So DEXA scans generally are covered by insurance when you hit 65. That is way too late. You do not want to learn that you have sarcopenia, which is kind of like low muscle mass or low bone density at 65 when you have a harder time actually investing and turning that around. So, DEXA scans, you remember that scanner I showed you guys in that first photo? So that scanner, that scan is the same machine everywhere you go. So just type in DEXA near me and you should be able to find a DEXA scan. The pricing is going to change because of where you do it. I go to Body Spec. There are a lot of places to get it. It should be somewhere between 50 and 150. I know that's a wide range, but people are paying for the telemedicine maybe afterwards or the reporting, or maybe you're going to a fancy office in Beverly Hills versus just going to a storefront in Culver City. It's the same scan, guys. Find the cheapest scan. And if you need help, I will help you read it. But yes, everyone should get a DEXA scan. They are the gold standard. They are the most accurate and sometimes the most unforgiving, but you want to know the truth, you go to get a DEXA scan. Now, if you can't get to a DEXA scan, you can use an in-body. So an in-body is what it's not as big. A lot of doctors have it. It's what you stand on and you hold on to it. It also does body composition. It's a little bit less accurate, but directionally, it's going to give you all the information you need. It's going to measure all of the same things. It's going to tell you what you're made of, and then it's going to be able to, show you the progress that you make through all of the things that you're going to do. The home scans, and I still need to test them. They can be somewhat accurate, but again, it's probably more directional. So I would say don't harp on the exact number, just kind of get a baseline of like how you're progressing, like either you're improving or you're declining, right? But take it with a grain of salt because they're just a little bit less accurate because the technology is a little less accurate. But I would say having something in your house that keeps you accountable, that kind of helps you understand what's going on, will help you be more successful. So I would say using any of those. I think Hume is a good at home scan.
Okay, awesome. So many DEXA questions. Is there any harm with DEXAs? I was doing them every other month, too much question mark, but they're super helpful.
Um, I'm told that they're have a very it's like the same amount of radiation of like a flight, like a cross-country flight. So there's really not a lot of issues. I think unless you're pregnant, I would definitely check with your doctor or if you have any metal implanted in your body. But for the average healthy person, it's fine. I think the statistics show that the more often you scan, the more you show results. It's kind of like anything. It's a check-in, right? So, and I just want to pause for 1 second to say, I know that a lot of us have fixated on the scale at some point in our lives, right? We can't escape the noise that we get from society telling us of all the things that we have to be skinny and we have to be all these things. I'm not trying to give you additional metrics to obsess about. I want it to empower you with metrics that help you become fitter, healthier, happier, more energetic, and have more longevity, right? So these are empowerment metrics, but you are not a slave to these metrics. This is just information. That's why I advocate blood work. I love doing comprehensive blood work with Joy because they're like pieces of the puzzle, right? And this is our health data. We have a right to our health data. Now, what you do with it, come to it with a healthy mindset of doing something really good with it. But this information, I think, is better than just driving a car with no dashboard and not understanding what's going on.
This is all so helpful. Okay. We can move on. Okay, so they have a lot of questions about you specifically, Celia. Did you use a troche or injection for the peptides you used?
So I tried
Can
both.
I say something
Yeah.
quick about the body complexes the other month?
Hmm.
If you're seeing
Hi.
that, spend home, make your life easier. The in body, like Hume is a good one. I know there's a reasonable one from Amazon for $50. I also know that the home in body, actual in home in body scanner runs about $200.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Yeah, I've heard good things about Hume and
yeah,
InBody.
I've heard,
But
yeah, I have
yeah.
both an in home in body and an in body.
That's great. Okay, so maybe Riley, if you have a second, we can put it in the chat. But that's a really great suggestion. Thanks, Dr. Melissa.
Yeah. Okay. And then back to
Um,
your injection
oh
choking.
yeah, the so Samorlin. So, I really I'm very bullish on peptides. I see peptides and hormones like they're like the kind of they're like returning to our bodies to their former glory. That's kind of how I explain it. They help us do what we used to do because we are kind of depleted of certain things and we are now restoring it, right? It's like hormone replacement therapy. So peptides, they're signaling agents. They help our cells do what that cell does best. It's just that I want it to be a little faster. I want it to be a little bit more potent, right? Like I kind of want my cells to be 30 and maybe not 50. I'm 52 at this point. Um, so I really like peptides. I think they're great tools. So I started off with the injections. I did 5 nights. So I worked with Joy. Jessica was my coach. She was amazing. So I did 5 nights of injections before I went to bed because it also helps with sleep. And I did 30 days of that. And I will say, like, I've used BPC 157, I've done TB 500, I've done NAD. The Samorlin, for some people, can sting a little bit. It almost feels like a little bit of irritation at the injection site. Not for everyone. It's super mild. I was like, okay, I've been injecting myself a lot, my poor belly at this point. I was like, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to try the troche. Everyone's a little different. So troches can be they're great for traveling because who wants to go through TSA with a bunch of syringes, right? I have to always explain myself. Troches can be great. They can be a little less bioavailable. The subcutaneous shot, which means that you're injecting it right into your tissue, right into your fat. For me, it was my belly fat because I have some extra. Um, I think that if you can tolerate the injections, I feel like the efficacy is just a little bit more. But if you want to do the troches, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the consistency. So maybe cycle a couple months of that to see the full effect. And I know I had zero recovery. I was never sore at the gym. I had great power. Um, I have found out through this very intentional muscle building journey that I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to build muscle as quickly or as consistently from my kind of lame efforts lifting that 8 pound weight, right? I just want to explain, like, I went from lifting a 20 pound weight, like doing like holding it like this and squatting, right? With a 20 pound weight. And now I'm on the Smith machine, which is like the big boy machine, right? My big barbell, and I'm squatting 105.
Girl.
That is 8 weeks, guys. So women are strong. So I think this Moreland gave me a little bit of a nudge. I think maybe Dr. Melissa, I would love for you to weigh in on also hormones, right? Because I think that, having your blood work, understanding your symptoms, kind of seeing where you are in the perimenopausal journey, hormones can actually play a really great role in your ability to build muscle and your strength and power at the gym.
And specifically testosterone. Testosterone is what helps you build lean muscle. And it's one hormone in us gals that starts decreasing by our early to mid 30s. So I'll get a lot of gals who come in and they're like, I'm in the gym, I'm doing CrossFit 5 days a week, I'm doing X, I'm doing Y, but I can't seem to build the lean muscle. So it's definitely always worth to consider getting that panel to find out, are you fighting against yourself? And something I always like to let all gals know, cortisol, which is our stress hormone, when it's high, it goes to look for food in your muscle and your gut. And it will, because that's where your highest amount of amino acids are. So if cortisol levels are high, stress levels are high, you could kill yourself in the gym, which is only going to increase your cortisol levels more. And all you're going to do is break down more muscle and end up with more gut issues.
Yeah, that is a huge takeaway. And I think that causes just a lot of frustration because I go back to this concept of like, this is not a lack of willpower. This is not a lack of effort. All of us are trying all of these things. You just want to be super strategic so we get the results we want. So, working with a professional on making sure that you've optimized your hormones, that is a huge unlock, right? Work with your biology.
Yep.
I see hormones as a great longevity tool. We're replacing something that we've lost, something that was essential to all of our systems. I mean, we have estrogen receptors everywhere in our bodies, like are declining, fluctuating, I mean, trending down, but like declining hormones are really going to impact everything. So I think that's what's happening. Remember my first scan where I was kind of like doing what I did before in my 30s and it didn't work? Well, the rules have changed. My body has changed and it has different needs. So when we really fundamentally understand that, I kind of explain it like this, and Dr. Melissa, let me know if I've completely like reduced this to the point where it's not accurate, but I'm trying to think of a way to describe kind of what menopause does. I feel like it makes us a little deaf and you got to turn up the volume. So you need to eat a little bit more protein in order to have muscle protein synthesis, right? You need to actually increase the weight, right? Everything has to be turned up a notch, right? Because we are now working with a different set of factors that create this, environment of us being in perimenopause, and then how we're evolving how we live and how like the inputs have to change a little bit. So I see it as like, okay, guys, shit's getting real. We got to turn up the volume, but we can have incredible results. So, I encourage everyone just to not be afraid of weight, not be afraid of the gym, to really look at all of these amazing tools that we have today to help you.
So Celia and I had a quick meeting the other day, and this is a line that I use to patients a lot. Ladies, you can't diet like a dude. Stop it.
Yeah.
And the other piece that I think we forget is in this perimenopausal stage, and even in your 30s, depending on your age, just to Celia's point, our hormone cycle, which means what we do from an exercise standpoint, could change in those moments as well. What you need the week before your period is not the same as what you can accomplish the week of ovulation and the week of your menstrual cycle. So it's understanding how to meet your body where it's at, because it's a pretty awesome body.
Yeah, it's an awesome body, but it's a complex system. My friend, Dr. Suzanne Gilbert-Lenz, who's this amazing OBGYN, and she sometimes she gives this presentation and she has this like dashboard of like a million buttons, right? And it's like this is women, right? And there's like an on-off switch, and that's like men.
Men, yep.
So and I just laugh because I think that women are like the OG biohackers because we are constantly kind of scanning our bodies, or hopefully to be like, how am I feeling today? What is actually going on? I wake up every day, all of the things have changed, and I need to like recalibrate. And the better you can get at listening to those like internal cues and like really taking that scan of like, what does my body need today? Where am I in my cycle? I know it gets a little trickier during perimenopause because you're like, where is my cycle? But we are constantly adapting and we are more complex. So the solution is sometimes not this kind of simplistic one size fits all. It's really bio individual. You want to have some metrics. I just showed you a bunch of DEXA scans. I know lots of numbers, but those are all those little knobs that I'm talking about. Like we're just constantly tweaking. And once we get that formula right, it's just amazing. Like we just you get addicted to like feeling good and feeling strong. Women are meant to be strong. So let's maybe get away from the skinny. Let's go for the strong.
Man, I love that. All right. Okay. Doesn't matter. Okay. For weightlifting, do you recommend we lift heavier and less reps, or any advice on how to best lift in our 40s and 50s for strength training? That's a great question.
That's a really great question. So I would say for anyone, it really depends on where you're starting. You want to make sure that you have, excuse me, proper form. You want to make sure that you're not injured. So I do think that kind of understanding the fundamentals of lifting, if you have a good foundation for that, you can go heavier. What you want to do is you want to work on progressive load. So any good trainer, and there's lots of online videos as well, you want to be able to continually increase the weight. I tend to do most of my sets are like 3 sets of 3, or as I say to my trainer when he squeezes in a sneaky fourth, and I was like, I thought it was sets of 3, um, are 12 to 15 reps. Okay. So 15 reps at a lower weight will be a little bit more of a kind of cardio built in. You might get a little bit more fatigued, winded. You can go less weight and do less reps. It's kind of negligible. We're not lifting, like we're not power lifting, where you're really only doing like 1 to 3 of something that is so insanely heavy, because our goal generally is that we're not trying to be bodybuilders. We're just trying to um, put that mechanical stress on our bones and really challenge our muscles to be able to grow. Because, like I said, right? So maybe it's like our muscles are kind of getting a little deaf. So we got like an 8 pound weight, or worst, a 2 pound weight, flinging your ankle around for like 100 reps. Great. That's muscle exhaustion. That's not muscle building. So I know that's kind of a roundabout question. I don't think there's really a difference between a 12 reps in a set or 15. You want to find a weight that's consistent. I think it's really about trying to incorporate weight training 2 to 3 times a week and separating it from days where you're doing cardio. If you love doing cardio, if Soul Cycle is your jam, go for it. Don't do it on the same day. It just uses a different fuel source. Eat some carbs before you work out and have your cardiovascular day. But really, when you're going to see the changes to your body composition, or a lot of it's going to come from focusing on building muscle and lifting weights.
Okay, there are so many good questions coming in. Okay, which one should, okay. Will adding testosterone help with adding muscle and helping with fatigue? If Dr. Melissa is available, if not, I can move on to the next one. See, I know she's in the airport. Okay.
Yep, I'm still here. Yep, I'm still here.
Okay.
The easy answer is yes,
Amazing. Cool.
but you're going to lose me in about 2 minutes.
All good. That's okay. I'll focus. Let me have fun in the chat. Okay. What's the best approach to protein? What percentage of the diet? I feel like this is a question that we ask ourselves daily.
1 to 1.5 grams is usually what I tell everybody per ideal body weight or your goal weight. So I tell my ladies, if you're getting less than 100 grams of protein, you're not getting enough. I ideally want every gal at 100 grams of protein.
Answer.
And you guys, I know that it feels like a second job. Like eating protein is like your second job, but there are lots of ways to sneak in protein, right? Sometimes we're like, I like you can't eat any more animal meat. You're like, okay, I just, or a plant source, it's like, feels like full. You can supplement with some amino acids. You can put a little protein powder into your coffee. You can kind of hide protein in a lot of different places throughout the day, to make sure that you get enough. But it's definitely more than you think. And I think when we have the mindset that we are eating enough protein to kind of reach these goals, I know that when I started eating more, that's when I actually dropped the fat and gained the muscle. It's so counterintuitive, you guys, for us to we're literally rewriting this narrative of eat less, move more. I'm telling you actually to be more concentrated with your movement, right? So you're lifting weights. You're not like, you know, I'm not telling you to do cardio 7 days a week. I'm not even advocating for you to work out 7 days a week. Like move your body, sure, but you also want to eat more because we want to fuel ourselves. Like a lot of the time, a lot of my clients and a lot of my students are like, oh, I'm working out fasted because I want to burn as many calories as I can. And I'm like face planting at 3. I have no more energy left. And I'm like, well, you're putting yourself in this low energy availability state where you might have enough for your workout, but it's like having your iPhone on 10%. Like it might work, but the apps are running super slow. This is not app optimal performance, and you're going to run your battery to death, right? It's kind of like your own internal batteries. So think of food as fuel. It's nourishment for every single cell in your body, and you want that cell to be vibrant and you want that cell to be like active and like full of energy. I mean, the word metabolism, right? Metabolism essentially is our body's ability to convert food into energy to power every single beautiful cell in our body, right? So food is not the enemy. Food is our fuel, and it's going to be able to give you the energy to do amazing things with your life, right? And lift
And
heavy.
working out fasted, you're driving your cortisol levels higher, which you're competing against yourself and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, like women's bodies are very like the way that we evolved, like our evolutionary biology is like just wants us to procreate and like not die. It's not has not evolved for modern day life, okay, where there's like a full fridge and everything's temperature controlled. So when you deprive, like when the female body is deprived of nutrients, it's kind of puts it in this fight or flight, like, oh, there's something wrong. I need to make sure this body is staying alive. And you're like, no, I sleep next to the fridge. I'm good. I'm choosing not to eat. It doesn't know that. And it's going to optimize us for what its primary needs are. So again, we need to be really strategic about how we, um, from what we know about how our bodies work, to be able to really use these things to our advantage.
I think Dr. Melissa has to leave soon, but I was laughing. She said, it seems like we need a part two that's all QA based on today. That's true. This was a hot topic today. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay, there's a lot of questions about cortisol now, which Celia, if you feel comfortable answering, if you want, re-cortisol, is it true that we need protein as soon as we wake up to lower your cortisol? Which I feel like you kind of touched on that a little bit, but
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll say about cortisol is that your cortisol naturally rises in the morning, right? It's trying to be like time to wake up. So it is the thing that is actually helping you wake up and like seize the day. Some people have a lot of cortisol, so they wake up and they're super like they actually have high cortisol. Bye, Dr. Melissa. Thank you. Um, if you slam a coffee and you get right on your phone and you start your day, that is probably not optimal for you. Some people don't have that. Some people have low cortisol. Low cortisol is also not great because low cortisol means that you're sluggish in the morning. You're probably hitting snooze a few times and you can't quite get yourself up. So it's all about like homeostasis. So, yes, I think that starting the day, if you can delay your caffeine a little bit, so if you wake up and you brush your teeth and you drink a glass of water, preferably with some electrolytes in it, and then maybe you shower and do the things, and then you go down and you have your coffee and you have your breakfast, or you have your coffee with some food, or you have your coffee and you supercharge it with some healthy fats, maybe some almond milk, maybe a little bit of coconut oil. I put all my creatine and my collagen, all the things. I supercharge every hot beverage I drink in the morning, and a little bit of protein powder. That's actually going to help you. I think for a lot of people, it doesn't have to be a huge meal, but I would say that for the average person, eating a little bit of protein in the morning with some healthy fat is a really great way to start because it's going to keep your blood sugar really even for the rest of the day. So even if you have some caffeine, even if your cortisol is going up a little bit, your blood sugar is even. Now, blood sugar regulation is a whole nother topic that we cannot get into because it's like literally a whole course that I teach, but like it also plays into body composition. So maybe we do a part two about blood sugar. But yes, I would say eating protein in the morning is always going to be a win for me.
amen. Helps with so many things.
So many things.
Cortisol, everything. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, everyone said part two. So Celia, we will plan that together. Um, okay. I want to pick ones that you would feel comfortable answering. This is a good one. Can you discuss perimenopause and how it can slow down your progress when trying to lose weight, lose fat?
Yeah. Okay. So in perimenopause, I want everyone to think about like a second puberty where like it is literally like doing this. Okay. So you have estrogen receptors all over your body, keeps all of those systems working. When it's fluctuating, we feel a little bit crazy, right? We often arrive to perimenopause having some metabolic dysfunction. Okay. So I am going to talk a little bit about blood sugar because this is kind of part of it. What happens is that we are kind of unknowingly breaking our metabolism a little bit. It's a little bit of the diet culture. We work a lot. We're sedentary at our jobs. We're eating the wrong things. We're eating like our blood sugar is spiking. We arrive at perimenopause a little inflamed. Our estrogen is trending down. And what happens is that our body starts to recompose. So that's when we start to notice a little bit more of the belly fat. That's when the weight becomes a little bit more stubborn, right? We're also losing testosterone. We're losing some of our muscle and we're starting to gain fat. And sometimes what we're doing is that we're exacerbating it by doing the things that used to work for us in our 30s, but now we're kind of in perimenopause and we're working against our biology. So the answer is yes, perimenopause can create fatigue, which means that you're not working out as much, you're not as active, weird cravings. So all of a sudden your blood sugar is a little bit all over the place. So you're actually eating a little more, you're a little like your hunger hormones and your satiety hormones are a little off. Like there are a lot of hormones we're talking about. I think when we talk about hormones, we think of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone, but melatonin is a hormone, cortisol is a hormone, insulin is a hormone, ghrelin, like all of these things all work kind of together. So in perimenopause, it is a little bit more challenging to navigate it. That's why I think that we need to like steady the ship in all the areas that we can. You want your blood sugar to be even. You want to try to have some consistent sleep, your circadian rhythm. That's one thing I will, let me pause for 1 second and say this. So this is like perfectly clear, you guys. Every single client that comes to me or every student or friend, and they're like, I can't lose weight. And I'm like, are you sleeping? And they're like, no, I'm up all night. I wake up 5 times. I'm like, well, then forget about trying to optimize your body composition. If you are not sleeping, you are going to have a very hard time regulating because cortisol and melatonin are opposite sides, right? So cortisol gets you up in the morning, and then your cortisol starts to drop throughout the day, and then your melatonin starts to rise, and your melatonin is what puts you to sleep. And then throughout the night, your melatonin starts to wear off and your cortisol starts to go up again. So if you can't control that hormonal system, you're not gonna wake up in the morning and have even blood sugar. You're gonna have cravings for carbs and caffeine and sugar. It's gonna put you on a roller coaster. You're gonna overeat. You're not gonna move. You're gonna be fatigued. It's gonna be this like weird cascade of stuff. So perimenopause is when you need to steady the ship. And I know it sounds like a lot, but it's actually quite easy. If you eat protein in the morning, if you manage your caffeine, if you manage your alcohol, again, that's a part two conversation. But
True.
if if you can steady all of these systems, you're going to have an easier time because look, remember my DEXA scan from the summer when I was not stressed, dancing in Europe, eating real food in the sunlight. I am really prioritizing so many good things and it is supporting my biology, right? I think I also started some progesterone in that window. So that's also a nice chilling out. That's the chill hormone. Okay, long-winded answer, but hopefully there were some nuggets in there.
There definitely was. I feel like talking about alcohol during perimenopause might be a great topic and like scaling back on it. Okay. Yes, I think a lot of people are asking about if there'll be a follow-up email. There will be on Monday, and we'll share a bunch of links that Celia talked about and also her coaching biz and all of that jazz. So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, I also write a Substack. So I try to give a lot of this information away for free. And some of my crazy biohacking adventures are also in there. So all my handles are the same. So my Instagram is Celia at Celia W. Chen. My Substack is Celia W. Chen at Substack.com. But I write all about health optimization. And a lot of it is on metabolism. So that's blood sugar, that's nutrition, that's fitness, body composition, and menopause. And honestly, all those three things are like all interconnected. So that's a resource for you guys. We can definitely do a part two with Joy. I love working with them. I'm also going to do a cohort of like a body composition challenge for people who want to get a DEXA scan, want to do a group class, and then want me to help them put together like a program and want to do it with community. So that is coming. I don't know when that's going to launch, but it is being developed right now. But all of these things are, again, like, let's just be smart about our efforts. I don't I mean, yes, I do this for a living, but let's not spend hours and hours and hours doing this. Let's figure out what works for your body, get the help that you need, and be super efficient. Like, I'm a really impatient biohacker. Okay. This is why I play around with peptides. This is why I want to accelerate progress. I also am super frustrated that the medical community, our healthcare system doesn't support us. We're grossly underserved. So I do think that companies like Joy that have these large platforms that educate all of us, that really kind of help us make better decisions. Me as a coach and all of my peers in this space, like we're adjacent to, the medical community, like we're filling the gap of, let me tell you how it really is. Like I was both interested and curious, but also kind of annoyed that we didn't know some of these things. I made a lot of changes in my life and my health has taken a 180. And I just really want all of you guys to also have that information.
I
Do
love
we
that.
have any other questions?
There's a lot of comments just for you to know they love this webinar. So we'll definitely plan a part two. Most people found this so valuable. Um, yeah, we'll make sure in the follow-up email Celia just listed off a bunch of stuff she's working on. We'll make sure we highlight that too if anyone's interested in her cohort, which where should they keep an eye out for that, Celia? Your Instagram, your Substack?
Yeah, so Instagram, Substack. I think we're going to include a link back to my advisor, like my health optimization advisory is called Chanessa. And I will have links to if anyone wants to do like a one-on-one and do a deep dive, or you can actually join an upcoming class. But I do a lot of writing, so I'm not as great on Instagram. I gotta tell you, like it's those reels, man, they take a long time, but I do like to write. And so a little bit of the long form is a little bit easier. I'm loving these comments.
Yeah, there's so many good
Can
ones.
I don't know if these people are still here, but like NAD, yes, I love NAD. I don't bother with the IVs unless you are like coming back from Coachella and you're like next to dead and you're like, I need to be brought back to life. Like it's really unnatural how much they give you. If it makes you feel better, it's like a spot treatment. NAD injections, which I've actually done with Joy, what Jessica sent me some. So they can be really great for energy. So if you're embarking on like a really busy time period, I actually started to inject, I used NAD during the fires in LA because there was a lot of additional oxidative stress and a lot of just stress in general. And it just I think gave me a little bit more energy. So NAD is great. Mary Murphy. I feel you with the high stress job. I used to work in fashion in New York. Okay, so I was a slave to crazy bosses. Honestly, we can as women like we become less resilient to stress. I urge all of you to just take inventory. It will wreak havoc on your life and will get to a point where it's non-negotiable. I hit 48 and I have never had anxiety in my life and my hair was falling out and I was like, something's got to give. Okay. So this is really the beginning of my personal health journey, which became something that like I was a CMO working at startups for wellness and super stressed. It was like the most unhealthy job launching companies about health. I mean, the irony of that. I was like, you have to, you have to prioritize yourself. But when you have more muscle and you have more energy and your blood sugar is balanced and your nervous system is balanced, you can kind of deal with the crazy bosses,
Yeah.
kind of deal with a bit more of the stress or the young kids and the aging parents. Here's the thing, guys, like we're hitting the pinnacle of our careers in our 40s and our 50s, but we can't lose ourselves in these decades. The decisions we make in these decades are critically important to how our quality of life when we're older. So I'm not telling you guys to do it like, yes, actually, I'm telling you guys to do a bunch of things, but I'm telling you, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel like you can conquer the day.
I love,
Um,
I
these are
love
super great
Kimberly's
questions.
comment. Kimberly, that's a great I'm an accountant and usually gain weight every tax season. Working with Joy and I'm down 6 pounds this season. I'm so glad to be getting the education and help through this program. That's awesome, Kimberly. I love
That's
that. Great
amazing.
testimonial.
Oh, wait, can I take the bulking question?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, you know how hard guys work out to try to bulk? Like, your skinny best guy friend who like is always in the gym and like can't really like, but we think that we magically lift one 15-pound weight and we're gonna like explode. Like, we do not have enough testosterone. It is really hard to bulk. Okay. So also, we're meant to be strong. So some curves, like I definitely have recomposed my body. Like for a little Asian girl, like I have a bit of a booty now. Okay. But you know what? That booty is actually going to help me climb a flight of stairs when I'm 80. And it
Amen.
actually makes my jeans look better. So you're not going to bulk, but don't be afraid of some curves. You want to add that layer of muscle. Your body is going to change, but celebrate what it can do. But you will not get big because otherwise guys would be like, I'll have what she's having. There's no way. They have 10 times more testosterone than we do, and they can't bulk. So
Good reminder. I agree. Oh, well, yeah, this was a great webinar, Celia. Thanks for hopping on. I know I
yeah,
learned a lot, and I know everyone on this call did. We'll definitely do a part two. We'll plan that. And we'll definitely do a follow-up email. Follow Celia on Instagram. I follow her Substack too. It's so educational and helpful, and you'll learn so much. She really is a biohacking queen. Like that's what I would call you. This is so great.
thanks you guys so much for taking the time.
Awesome.
And yeah, All right.
Great. Well, we'll end it there. Thank you everyone for hopping on. We appreciate you. Bye,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.